Hi, this is Emily Cressy with another sales and marketing tip from successfulmarketing.com. Today I am going to tell you the story of the greatest salesman in the world. That's not hyperbole. I know lots of sales and marketing claims are, but Joe Girard is actually documented in the Guinness Book of World Records as being the world's #1 most successful salesman for 15 years. Now, how did he do this? It's actually an interesting story. He didn't start out with breaks. He didn't have friends, family, connections, or even a list when he got going. In fact, this guy was a college dropout, high school dropout, and went to juvie for robbing bars and things like that. He was abused as a kid, did not have a good beginning, but was able to overcome all of that when at the age of about 35, he became a car salesman. And in his first year in car sales, I wrote down some statistics. I'm actually reading his book right here from the library, How to Sell Anything to Anyone. I recommend that you guys check that out if you're interested in learning more about Joe Girard. But basically, he in his first year in car sales as a new car salesman, he sold 267 cars, which made him pretty much the #1 guy at the dealership. This is year 1. And by his 4th year, he had 614 sales, which made him #1 in the world. It was documented by the Guinness Book of World Records, and he continued that string. And he's been #1 every year since. Now, he was doing this back in the 60s and 70s. Now he's a sales trainer and consultant, but he went out on a good note. He sold 13,001 cars before getting out of the car business. So he obviously was very good at what he does and knows his stuff. And one of the reasons that he was able to do so much better than a lot of the other car salesmen in there was because he didn't rely on just having a really good closing ratio. He wasn't all about getting a lot of kills or a really high percentage of closings. I mean, he did his best, but his secret, if you ask him, is that he had a lot of people coming in through the door asking for Joe Girard. He drove business to him. He had a lot of leads. Leads. You can have an average conversion rate. If you have a lot of leads, you'll still do better than the other guys. Now, like I said, he didn't go to an Ivy League. He kind of had jailbait buddies. You know, he didn't have a list of clients or potential customers starting out. He started out with a couple pages that he ripped from the phone book and did cold calls to generate his list. Now, that's a tough way to go, and fortunately, he didn't have to rely heavily on cold calling throughout his whole career. But what he was able to do was, from that list, stretch it out into getting a lot more leads coming through the door. He had what I've garnered from his book here is that he had 2 primary lead generation sources. #1, repeat clients, and #2, referrals from his existing clients. Everybody that walked out of the showroom in a new car got a bird dog packet from him, which was basically him saying, I'll pay you $50 for a lead. If somebody comes in here and buys a car from me, I'll give you $50. So he would give people a stack of his business cards, a letter explaining how the program worked, and then they just had to write their name on the back of the business card and send in their buddies to go see Joe Girard. And when he closed that sale, he would send the bird dog $50, as well as a telephone call thanking them for their business. And he continued to follow up with those folks. You know, he made a special effort to recruit bird dogs in industries like bank loan officers who gave car loans and things. He would take them out to lunch. But he really was trying to build a fleet of bird dogs. He figures everyone knows about 250 people, and some are in a line of business where they know a lot more who might be interested in his product or service. So he really focused on getting them to send him business. And he said if they couldn't accept cash, he found another way to make it worth their while. The second thing he did was making people feel good about him who had bought from him before. After a while, I think he said about 1/3 of his business was from bird dogs, and about 2/3 of it was from repeat clients. And what he was doing to get repeat clients was simply sending them a greeting card every month. He wouldn't send like the dealership glossy advertising. He would send what looked like, a St. Patrick's Day card or a birthday card. Every month they would get one. December they would get two for Christmas. One was for Christmas and one was just a regular monthly card. But he sent everybody in his database a card every single month. And guess what the profound sales copy was inside the card? The simple message, "I like you, Joe Girard." Sign it, mail it off. They'd get something different every month. And the idea was not to sell them or persuade them to come in buy a car, but it was just to keep him in top of mind so that when they were ready to buy a car, he was the guy they would go and see. And if they had any buddies that were looking for a new Chevrolet, they knew who to send them to. And I think that really speaks to the value of just treating people like people and not just, bait that's waiting to get snapped up and eaten by the mean, aggressive salesman. So sort of that realness and that appreciation that comes through is so important. So if you're in business or are thinking about being in business, consider as part of your marketing plan some kind of real campaign to keep in touch with people in a meaningful way. And obviously the more personal the better, but keep in touch. It's very important. And Joe Girard, eventually had to outsource this. It's actually kind of hard to implement, sending hundreds of people a greeting card every month. But what Joe did was he got a personal assistant. He hired a college kid or a high school kid or something to, address and sign and mail these things out. The nice thing for us now is that with technology, it's come a long way from the 60s and 70s. We've been able to put together automated systems to send out cards. And I don't want to get into too much detail in that here, but if you want to come to my website, successful-marketing.com, I'd be more than happy to share with you a couple of good ideas about ways you can automate this card sending process so that you can affordably and really personally keep in touch with your clients and make them feel special, make them remember you. So this is another tip. This has been the story of Joe Girard, the world's #1 salesman. I hope you found it useful. Please do subscribe by visiting my website at successfulmarketing.com or to this the video if you want to see more useful tips like this for your sales and marketing career.